We get to part 3 of serializing the Standard Chartered report. A friendly reminder that this report is a document which has been submitted to the Central Bank of Kenya. It has been submitted to the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, the fraud unit, the banking fraud unit. That's the document where it was presented there, and somebody sent me, from within the central bank circles, because they are frustrated that central bank is not moving fast enough or has been sitting on these and other similar reports. In fact, there are more people who have contacted me complaining about the same bank, saying that this bank has been notorious, has been criminally negligent, the way they operate, the way they the systems with which they present their accountings, and now we pick it up from there. And this is not, unique to, to Kenya. You'll see there is an article on Forbes from 2019. It has Standard Chartered Bank's long history of financial crime. You see, they have been, the British bank, Standard Chartered, has been hit with fines totaling $1.1 billion dollars for sanctions breaking and money laundering. The fines have been jointly imposed by US and UK regulators. It's amazing that Kenyan regulators have never seen such a bank accused of wrongdoing. The Kenyan regulators seem to be asleep on the job. We would want to give the current governor of Central Bank, Kamau, Thugge, the benefit of doubt, and say that he's still acclimatizing in office, because the immediate former Central Bank Governor Patrick Njoroge was looked like he was in bed with these banks. He was deliberately turning a blind eye. He was not acting on any of these consumer complaints. He looked like he was bending over backwards to or even receiving bribes from the banks just to turn a blind eye. There's also an article here by Business Daily from 2016, Sunday, February 14. It says, why there is a perfect storm in the financial industry. That was the heading, and then inside they go to state the $300 billion, which is would be the equivalent of 450 trillion Kenya shillings. 450 trillion Kenya shillings. Those are the penalties. Those are the penalties that Standard Chartered, Citigroup, Barclays, Deutsche Bank, HSBC, BNB Paribas. Those are the ones they have been by 2016. Those are the penalties. Those are the fines that had accrued from their malpractices, from their professional and criminal negligence. So how do they recover all these fines? It's through what they are doing, especially in Africa, because they know that some of you clients are weak. You are unable to go through your statements. You take their reporting as gospel truth, as the unvarnished truth, but look through your statements. Take these bankers as potential criminals. So we start with this something called the loan amortization schedule. This is where the bank is now agreeing and creating the terms of engagement as regards to acquisition of this loan. You can see the loan amount up there. It is the one circled in red. The block, it is 9.6 million. The annual interest rate is 15.9%. Loan repayment period is 2 years. Number of installments per year, 12. And then you move to the other side. You see the scheduled payment is 469,587. That is the monthly payments. And then you can see it's 24 months. And then total interest, you can see 1.6. Now, here is the funny thing. On which date? On 19th November 2015, the bank wrote to the client, who is Monaco Engineering Limited, and they are saying there were variation of interest rates. So they are moving from the pre-agreed. Remember, the pre-agreed loan was at 15.9% per annum. So now they have increased 1%. Now, 1%, you can see they've written and they've said your new rate to take effect as at 19th November 2015 will be term loan, and then the loan agreement number, and then the new rate you can see is 16.9%. So the new payment account amount is 626,337. You see, where did they? So they want to say, because remember the initial repayment, annual repayment was supposed to be 469,587. That was the pre-agreed. Now they have increased their interest rate by just 1%. Suddenly the figure has moved from 469 to 626,337. Now increase of 1% from 15.9% to 16.9%. When you divide the new figure 626,337 minus 469,386, it comes to 156,751. That is the amount that they have inflated, because the actual figure, when you're increasing 1% from the interest rate, from the compounded interest rate that they had earlier given, you are supposed to be, the increments is supposed to be 4,598. That is all that is supposed to be added, and now the total should have been 474,184 shillings. Wow, where did they come up with 626,337? Don't trust the banks. So another glaring error deliberately committed by Standard Chartered just to steal money, just to make it impossible for a client to move out of a loan, because banks have structured their loans and their fraud in such a way that you're in a constant debt cycle that you will never leave, and if you have to leave, it has to be at your detriment. They have to take your collateral, forcefully acquire it, and that's how some of these bankers, even at the low level, have become very wealthy, because they manipulate the figures knowing very well that you may not be able to pay, or you are not keen, especially those people from the rural areas who just they think that bankers are very important people. These are thugs. Now look at here this bank statement. Look at the far below. There is an item written on the date 21/5/2015. Monthly interest levied by the period. They mentioned the period, and then they say the total amount 145,000. But then the number I want you to focus on is the outstanding balance. At the far end, you're going to see 7,444,549. That's the outstanding balance. Yeah. So and you've seen the date is 21st June 2015. Yeah. Now let's move on to the next document. 4 days later, Standard Chartered sent a letter to the same client, and this one is 25th June 2015. You can see it's Monaco Engineering Limited, Nairobi. Now there is a place covered in red, which is the subject, account blah blah blah, and then the Kenya shillings 7,523,347. That is what they're saying is the outstanding balance. Remember, let us go back to the bank statement. You are going to see the outstanding balance is 7,440,549. But now, let's move now to this letter, to this new figure they have concocted. It is 7,523,347. Yeah, that is now the outstanding balance. So the question is, even before we go to the nitty-gritty, how did they the difference within a span of 4 days? There is a difference of 84,000 Kenya shillings. How did it accrue? What's the cost of overnight lending in this country? Can it be that high? So how did it accrue? How did it get to that figure? How did it overnight balloon by 84,000 Kenya shillings? You see, as I'm telling you, banks are thugs. So there's so much ground to cover. Stay tuned for part 4. This is a very huge document. We could go even to 30 parts. Stay tuned and keep your pens and papers right as we crunch the numbers and see exactly how Standard Chartered Bank has defrauded people. Thank you to everyone. We are having correspondences from people who also think that there should be a class action suit against Standard Chartered Bank for their glaring financial irregularities.